TV. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? Yeah, it's been an interesting week, has it not? I mean, it can't just be me. It cannot just be me. Oh, forgot today's question. Or commands. Take it however you want it. Actually, no. We'll make it a question. There you go. Come on. And I'm hoping you people have the right answer for this. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So that's today's question. So during the Sunday Roundup, I like to go back over the previous week to find out what's going on, what happened, how did it happen, and could I have played it differently? What were the things I should have been paying attention to that I might not have been paying attention to? And of course, what things do I think are going to affect the coming week or coming month? So there's a lot that has to be unpacked and unraveled, as they say. I mean, it wasn't a short week. You know what I mean? I mean, it was a pretty long week. So let's see, today's the 18th, minus 7, you know what I mean? So 11th. Bear with me. Just bear with my players. So yeah, so there was absolutely a lot going on, right? That was Sunday, and then comes Monday. So Monday, the 12th, right? We had Jerome Powell being investigated. We just had a lot of things going on. We had basically the world, literally the world, economists around the world, the equivalent to Fed chairs from around the world come out and talk about, hey, what are we doing here? Why are we talking about this guy? Why are you going after this guy because he didn't do what you wanted him to do? What is that about? People had massive problems over that, massive issues over that. So me personally, I've got an issue with it, right? Because I do not want the Fed controlled by the president. That's not what I want. Any president, by the way, any. So that's not something that should happen. And, you know, coming up with nonsense charges about why you would be investigated. I think that if they try to bring an indictment based on what they're doing against Fed Chair Powell, I think they would get laughed out of court. They're already the laughing stock around the world. There's also something else, and this happened basically over the past few days. A leader of France, Macron, has asked, hey, Hutana, thanks for letting us know you invested in yourself. The leader of France, Macron, has asked the EU to use what they call, I guess, the bazooka response to the United States. The bazooka response is they call for massive tariffs against any and all things American. Investments, licenses, companies. So it'll affect companies that are already doing business there, companies that want to do business there. It would affect everything. So yes, it's a warning shot across the bow to the United States that we've now become an enemy to what should be our friends. But it's also a call to every single business in the United States that does business overseas to say, listen, start calling your president, because if you continue to let this happen, this is what we're going to do to you, right? This is what we're going to do to you, and it will affect your business. So think about companies like Amazon, Microsoft, those truly international companies, and that's just on tech. That's just on tech. Let me tell you how bad this is. Let's look at automotive. The automotive industry doing business in Europe would take a massive hit. And what's even worse is it might be unrecoverable. And a lot of people might be thinking, Eddie, what do you mean? What do you mean by unrecoverable? Right now, you have let me take a step back. Remember years ago when China flooded the market with steel, with cheap steel, to try to corner that market? What's going on now? China is flooding the market with cheap automobiles. Flooding the market with cheap automobiles. Cheaper, more technology, more efficient, just more. They're trying to destroy, forget disrupt, destroy businesses. And you either have to step up or step out of the business. That's really what they're doing. So they're already invading Europe. They're already in South America. They're already in North America. The deal that was cut with Canada the other day, what was it, Thursday or Friday? That deal is to bring a maximum 40,000 cars, Chinese cars, to Canada. So what you're going to have is people visiting from Canada with their BYD cars just to drive through America, just to laugh at everybody here. You've got cars being shipped to Mexico and South America. They'll just drive to America so that everybody can see the cars, and they'll laugh at us because there is no car in the United States that could touch some of these Chinese cars. Ford can't, GM can't, right? It's just not going to happen. Stellantis can't. If you really stop and think about it, there is no real compared to Mercedes, BMW, even Range Rover, there is no real luxury car that's made in the United States. I mean, BMWs are made here, Mercedes are made here, but those are external countries making some vehicles here. But in terms of what we have natively in the United States, we don't have that. We used to. We don't anymore. Some people will say, well, we've got Cadillac and we've got, who else is there? The Navigator and Lincoln. They're all just rebadged versions of their less expensive cars on the other badges that are given maybe different bodies, a little bit more tech. I'm talking pure play freaking luxury. That's what's coming out of China right now. And yes, they're doing it in all kinds of ways. The first way that they're doing it is they're coming out and they're saying, well, here's our car. And yes, we're subsidizing these cars. We're going to subsidize those cars. Can they keep it up for a long extended period of time? No, but can they keep it up long enough to completely kick the shiznit out of all other cars, around the world? Yes. The answer is yes, right? One of the things that made EVs almost fail, or basically fail for right now in the United States, is the anxiety over mileage. So China's working on solid state batteries. So a solid state battery is smaller in size, weighs less, and can do the same as the batteries that are already in there. Actually, at that size, can do twice as well as the batteries that are already in there, right? And China's doing something else. They're making it so you can change your own damn battery. Remember how you used to do that in your car? You go in, if you went to a Mercedes, you went under the back seat, you lifted that up, and you were able to change out your huge battery. Huge. My E430 had a huge battery. And it was so big that you had to keep it underneath the back seat. Cool. That's what they're doing to the market. So they're going to be in Canada, in Mexico. They're already in Mexico and other parts of South America. If the EU says we're going to implement that bazooka against the United States, Sorry about that. So we're on the opposite side of Russia, of China, right? So we're not going to be friends with them, even though current regime kowtows to whatever Russia says, but still, we wouldn't be friends with them. We wouldn't truly be friends with them, right? And now, with everything that he's doing now over Greenland, Venezuela, we're not friends with the EU. The EU sees us as a global threat, economically, physically, politically, every Lee that you could think of. It's got the whole Lee family. So thank you for that, Hutanic, letting me know that I was on mute, by the way. So you start to realize, holy moly, we're not in a good place. With China hitting each one of those markets with very cheap vehicles, they're going to crush everybody's market. They're already, like I said, they're already in the EU, and they're already in South America. They're also already in Africa. That hits every economy in a massive way. Even for cars that are being manufactured in those countries, they've held back on technology. These aren't technologies. What China has in their cars are not technologies that we can't do. I want you to hear that. I want you to understand that. These are not things that cannot be done. Rather, these are things that are not being done. Do you see the difference? Instead, our car manufacturers or car manufacturers around the world are saying, we're going to charge you a monthly subscription fee to use Apple's car integration, Android's car integration, for your heated seats, your heated steering wheel, all these things that are already in your car. By 2028, there are certain US manufacturers that instead of coming out with better products, better services, they want to charge you more after you spent a healthy 5 or 6 figures on your car. Economically, these companies deserve to fail, from my humble opinion. They deserve to fail. So would I be buying stock in any automotive, any vehicle manufacturer in the United States? Not right now. I mean, there might be one or two, but I think the one or two that I might be interested in, they're not big enough to be public. So I wouldn't be buying anything like that. I wouldn't be buying jack in automotive, maybe car parts, things like that. But I wouldn't be putting money into a Ford, a GM, a Stellantis. Have you lost your mind? I wouldn't put any money into them. They want to charge me a monthly fee for stuff that's already in my car. I'm going to tell you the next big business. If they do that, what you're going to find, hackers are going to make money. They're going to make a boatload of money hacking into cars and turning features on and bypassing them. That's what they're going to do. And then all of those manufacturers are going to try to go after everybody that has jailbroken, because that's the term, jailbroken their cars, right? They're going to be like, oh, if you jailbreak your car, you've broken your warranty. People are going to flip the middle finger at them. Because here's the fact. You need me to bring my car to your dealership to get it fixed, because that's where the bulk of the money is that dealerships make. You've got more and more cars sitting on the sidelines because they're too expensive, don't do what they need to do, or anything else. I see your comments, Hotanic. I see them. Not everything is for me to respond to, but I see them, and they're really good. So when I sit there and I look at all these things, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, we're playing the wrong game. These idiots, and I'm going to say it out loud, these idiots are going full steam down the wrong road. They need to pull over, get out of the car, be like one of these Chinese companies, let the freaking drone go up and see what's going on, to see what the right road is. Because charging people a monthly subscription fee just so you can squeeze out extra money is not the way to go. Mind you, mind you, that whole business is kind of going to the wayside, right? Because you have too many services that are being born right now that are, you don't need to own a car. I'm going to call Waymo, and Waymo's going to send a driverless car out to my house and take me to wherever I need to go. And it'll be cheaper than using a livery. And it'll be cheaper than owning my own car, because how many times do you actually use your car? Seriously, how many times do you use your car? And you start to realize, holy moly, I don't need all that. They're going to wind up shooting themselves in the foot, in a lot of ways, in massive ways. If that happens and China gets all these cars out there, I'm talking literally boatloads of cars. Boatloads of cars. I told you there's a ship. There's a BYD ship. They had it built just to deliver cars. The boat pulls up, the cars drive themselves off the ship. They drive themselves off the ship. Again, I'm going to go back to there's no technology that China has that all the other car manufacturers can't do. They hide behind the idea of it's too expensive to do. It's not. It's not. I mean, they're too busy doing, excuse my language, doing dumb shit like you can double click your window button so it'll go down automatically, but then turning off the ability for you to double click your button for the windows to go up automatically. This is a luxury vehicle. And you've taken away one of the basic conveniences. Basic. Back in the day, a luxury vehicle meant you were going to have leather. They don't have that. Not anymore. They have pleather, as we call it, as us kids in the East Coast call it. So I've got pleather, and they nickel and dime on the different features. What's even worse is it's easier for them to build a car with all the features and then take out the button that'll do it and put a little thing over it so that you can't access the feature. But a lot of times it's actually already in the car. Again, you're going to try to charge people extra money. My dog being walked. You're going to charge extra money for people to access resources that they already have in the car. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. It's embarrassing that you would even do that. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because this is a massive, massive, full industry mistake. It's not just the cars that are being manufactured. It's going to affect the dealerships that are trying to sell cars. It's going to affect the parts companies that are making parts for the cars. We're talking about a full industry mistake. The level of stupid that's going on right there is amazing. Amazing. And because of what we're doing with regard to Greenland, what are you talking about? You want to take over Greenland? Even Denmark said, there's nothing that you want to do in Greenland that you can't do now. Why do you need to own it? Here's something else for you. How the hell would we pay for it? I would love for the new regime to say, for every American in this country, it's going to be able to make you this amount of money or have you save this amount of money. It's not. It is not a play to make it better for the average U.S. citizen. It's a stupid pet trick. It's a stupid pet trick. We're going to go into Venezuela. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's not a regime change. We're not doing anything like that. So now the oil that we snatched was sold. We made money. That money is sitting in a bank in Qatar or banks in Qatar. Why? How come that money wasn't released here in the United States to bring down prices for people here in the United States? How would I have used it? I don't know. Pick a problem in the United States. Pick a problem. We don't have clean water. Our energy grid needs to be stepped up. Security for our energy grid needs to be stepped up. Verizon just had a huge outage problem. Huge outage problem. How'd that happen? They're not explaining, which is weird. The world's largest internet security company had an outage, and they're not saying why. Weird. So it seems to me that economically, we're making all of the wrong moves as we move forward. That's going to be a massive problem. 700 billion was an offer or request. Not sure. Yeah, I thought it was like 500. But even still, what? Where is that money coming from? We are the largest debtor in the world by far. By far. Where is that money coming from? Where is that money coming from? We're too busy in this country now not allowing people to have chickens on their own property. We're too busy in this country trying to bring people to court because they're capturing rainwater. We're too busy in this country telling people no, they can't have a windmill on their property, or making them jump through 50 million different hoops to have solar power. Solar power. No, the local electric company has to come out and inspect that. Why? What happens if I don't want to push back into the grid? Screw you and your grid. What happens if I don't want to do that? They're making it difficult for people to do things using their own property. Meanwhile, China is doing everything for the betterment of their people. I'm not for China. I'm for the United States. We've got some really, really, really smart people here that are really capable of doing a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, there is nothing that's going on in China that we can't do here in the United States. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'll say it again. There's nothing that's going on in China that we're not capable of doing here in the United States. We sat back like a bunch of fat cats for so long, and we couldn't describe what enough is. And these companies are just saying, yeah, that's not enough. You're spending 5-6 figures on your car. We're going to charge you a monthly rate for whatever services forever. Even if you walk into the dealership and buy your car outright, you're still going to have to pay a monthly fee for these things that are in your car. Huh? That's saying that I don't own my car. That's saying I don't have a right to fix. John Deere lost that case. So, like, really? I think that in the United States, we're going to be so backwards that it's going to be insane. We're going to look like Cuba. And I mean from a vehicle perspective. If you look at images of Cuba, ask people from the United States that have gone to Cuba, they will tell you that they restore like all the old school cars. You're going to see that happen here, where you're going to see people go out and buy old combustion cars, restore those cars, and use those cars because you won't be able to control their cars. Because something else that they don't tell you is, yeah, they can turn off your car, turn on your car. They can do a whole bunch of stuff from there. Like, nah, nobody wants that. The use of, Waze and other mapping services. Guess what? I can buy my own screen, install my own screen, hook that up via Apple CarPlay or Android, and I can do all that stuff myself. Well, I wouldn't. I'll have my little brother do it. Or my boy Chiz TV do it. Went to high school together. Went to junior high school together. So yeah, I'm just looking at from an economic perspective, what are going to be the impacts over the past week? Over the past week, we've had some huge impacts, right? You're going after Powell. You're going after Greenland. You're still feeling the pain of going after Venezuela. ExxonMobil telling you to your face, it's freaking uninvestable. Like, what? Wow. Hutanak, I'm not going to repeat that on, because it's just bad. truthful, but bad. I'm not going to say that. People are already feeling anxious. But I'm just saying, from an economic perspective, those are things that we're doing right now that are wasting taxpayers' dollars when we have big problems to take care of. Right? It's a big deal. So when I look over the past week of what's going on and what's going to drive my coming week, it's going to be, what else are you going to say about Fed Chair Powell? Who do I think is going to be the next Fed chair that's going to go kiss some new regime tail? What more rhetoric are you going to get about Greenland? And I have to think that there are some people in Congress that are saying the emperor has no clothes. They're already saying that behind closed doors. And I would be amazed to hear that nobody's saying he's making decisions and doing things that really seem like he does have dementia. Because nobody with a clear thinking mind is going to make economic decisions like that. We're going to take Greenland one way or another. Are you kidding me? At one point, we had like 17 bases on Greenland. What, are you joking? That's insanity. Even Denmark saying there's anything that you wanted to do, you could have done there, not a problem. And we're freaking out over this island. It's not economically sound. It's setting us against all of our friends in Europe. And you know what? The first time this kind of stuff happened, during the first time he was in office, it was a mistake. Okay, we might forgive you. We might forgive you. It's just him. At this stage, it's not a just him case. This country voted him in twice. For pure economic reasons. If you just look at the economic reasons for putting him in, not putting him in, I would never have voted for him. I would never have voted for him. What do you know about running an economy? He used to call himself the king of debt. And right now, if you think about it, you don't even have to think that hard. There has been not a single case being made to bring down our debt. Not a single one. Not a single one. They'll say there is, but there has not been a single one. And for all those people that are crying, oh, I voted for him, but I can see now that it's a mistake. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. Economically, it's going to cost this country. And let me tell you something. It's going to cost this country for decades. And people are like, oh, you're blowing it out of proportion. Skyrocketing debt. No answer to the debt. That debt isn't going to come down for decades. What else happens? Oh, we're burning bridges with friends. Decades. These are economic bridges. They're talking about they're going to cut us off economically. There's no way in the world that there isn't a whole bunch of Fortune 100, Fortune 50 companies all picking up the phone saying, dude, cut this out. Dude, cut this out. So you start to realize, no, Rick Ritchie, no, stop there. This isn't just a problem for the current regime. This has been a problem for a few. A few. I told you, it started in 1971. And thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself today. But it's been a few. How many times have you heard, oh, we're going to pay toward the debt. We're working it out with other countries. And over time, the forecast is we don't hear talk like that. We don't hear talk like that. We hear about how we're allowing, fracking water to be used for crops. What? Yeah, look up Texas. The economic damage that we're seeing right now is exacerbating things. That's my point. I'm not deflecting. and I won't allow others to deflect. Right now, we're making decisions that are going to damage us even further economically, politically, for decades to come. For decades. We're moving in the wrong direction. Every fiat that has ever been the leader, the range is from 250 to 300 years. Yep. And the US dollar is quickly approaching that. In China, they judge it by the dynasties. Dynasties only last between 250 and 300 years. Wow. So on a global level, right, the world's currency has only lasted 250 to 300 years. And you can look to see, like, from global currency to global currency to global currency, 250 to 300 years. This one starts declining, this one is coming up, this one starts declining, then this one's coming up, so on and so forth throughout history. And that's something you can go look up. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. We're talking about right now, I keyed in on the automotive industry as an example of how we're not making the right moves economically as a country. As an industry, we're not making the right moves as an industry. If the car manufacturers in the United States keep walking down that road, you're going to see an implosion in that industry. It's in the cards. It's almost guaranteed. How quick are you going to see people hack their cars, jailbreak their cars, and they're like, oh, you'll void your warranty, and people will be like, I don't give a shit. Excuse my language, but that's what they're going to say. Don't care. I can't fix my own car anyway because you've buried the battery. And then people will be like, well, so what would it take for me to go get another car from another country, do something else? All the way from Miami. I don't like you right now. Welcome, but I don't like you right now. I don't know if you can see in the reflection, but it's freaking snowing outside. It's got like 6 inches over the past couple of days. So I'm a little jealous. Salas, what's going on? Thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself. That's why the U.S. is panicking and resorting to piracy and hostile takeovers. I hate to say it, but that's what we're doing. I mean, we're if you look at our playbook right now, the playbook seems like it's repeating history, doesn't it? And not in a good way. Not in a good. I know you're not sitting there laughing, 305. I know you're not. I know you're not getting your giggle. You know what? Go to the corner. Go to the corner. This is what we do with people that get their giggle on like that. You go to the corner. But welcome to the community. So I'm just looking at things economically. One of the reasons why I keyed in on the automotive industry is because the automotive industry drives a lot of other industries. It drives a lot of other industries. We're looking at right now that we could be running into massive problems with moving goods around the country because why? Oh, that's right. It'll be done driverlessly. Yeah. Autonomously driving semis. One of the things that's happening around the world is they have mostly automated freaking docks. Automated ports. We won't do that here because, well, unions. But some of these docks, a lot of these machines can be automated, move faster, all this stuff, and unions. I get it, but these are sacrifices that probably have to be made to make the country move better. Something else. I mean, when you look at driverless semis moving goods from coast to coast, which is well on its way, who does that immediately affect? Teamsters. I would be acutely focused on taking these highly skilled people and moving them into something else, getting them reskilled in something else. Maybe even last leg deliveries instead of long haul deliveries, something. But it's going to be tough. We've got hard decisions to make, and I'm not seeing anybody sitting in, high level chairs that are willing to actually have those conversations and figure it out. At some point, we're going to have to sit down and we're going to have to say, we're going to need universal basic income. Can jobs be created based off the technologies that we have coming up and being leveraged now? Sure. Are they going to replace all the jobs that are being lost? And that's where you have a problem with math. That's where you have a problem with math. Meanwhile, we've got, electric companies making record profit and still upping the price on things. Still upping the price. Have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind? We're going to have to find ways to do better for our people. Causing a commotion, a global commotion, is not the way to go. And that's just the automotive industry. That's just how China is wrecking the global automotive industry. If Europe actually does move forward with the economic bazooka, as Macron is calling for, the message to every single executive in the United States is going to be, get up off your butt, start making the phone calls, and put the pressure on this idiot and tell him to shut up. Because we're going to mess with your money now. As much as, and I want you to think about this, because a lot of people are saying, well, it'll hurt them too. Exactly. And what are they going to do? They'll be running to China. Don't believe me? What do you think happened in Canada? Instead of running to the United States, they'll be running to China. Because we done lost our minds. We done lost our minds. And everybody that's enabling all this thought process to allow this to happen. Wow. Are you serious? Everything that we're doing is going to have an economic impact. Oh, we're going to bomb Iran if you do anything to your protesters. That costs money, by the way. That costs money to drop bombs. Okay? Just saying, we've got issues. Right now, as Hutanic pointed out earlier, we do have people, we have risk management experts that are already adding numbers for the risk of war and how much that will cost. So the chances that it'll happen, the level that it'll happen, and the cost. Just all of that. It's a problem. It should feel good investing in yourself. Last year felt like a distraction. This year feels like worse of a distraction for me. We're going to have to address this. We're going to have to fix it. We're going to have to fix it. Economically, we've got problems. Let's suppose the bazooka doesn't happen. China's still flooding. China is hitting our car market from the north and from the south. They're already every place else. We're banning cars. We've banned cars from China. I mean, didn't we used to ban cars from Japan, and then we started letting them in? And now look at the cars from Japan. Wow. Japanese cars hurt European cars. Because you actually, is a Lexus going to beat a Benz or BMW? The answer is maybe. Doesn't that drop your jaw a little bit? The answer is maybe. Some people be like, oh, no, can't happen. No, the answer is maybe. Depends on which cars. But back in the day, oh, you weren't going to look, you weren't, hands down, BMW, hands down, Mercedes. I mean, heck, people look at Mercedes and BMW and don't even think of them as luxury cars anymore. If you look across everything, oh, now it's Wow 305. Now it's Wow. Now it's Wow. Okay, now it's Wow. Got it. But you get up on here talking about all the way from Miami, probably laying there in shorts, laying out next to the pool, watching on your tablet, sipping a Mai Tai. All jokes aside, though, I mean, if you stop and you think about what the impacts could be, how long is it before these executives start making phone calls talking about, what are you doing, bro? You're messing with the apple cart now, bro. What you talking about, bro? That's what people are talking about. How long will it be? I mean, they've already started trying to walk back the Greenland thing. You know, you have people in the administration trying to walk that back. That causes an economic problem. That messing around with Greenland would cause the economic bazooka. That is immediate. Companies losing licenses, just the exit of American businesses. Who's going to slide in if America moves out? How is that recoverable? Ask our farmers. Yeah. We gave, what, $20-40 billion to a country that slid in and took over the soy market. Are we ever going to get that back? Oh, no, we're not. And we have not. Oh, we promised to buy some soy. Our farmers are still hurting. Just saying, when I look at what's going on over the next week, top of my list, Venezuela and the money that comes from the oil that isn't going into U.S. banks, the onslaught of the DOJ against Chairman Powell, and the rhetoric of what's going on with Greenland. Those are the key three things that I'm going to be looking at this week. Yes, I'll be normally looking at the numbers and everything else, but those are the big ticket items that could knock the wind out of anything positive. First of all, it's not going to happen. To answer your question, the United States taking over Greenland, it's not going to happen. I think he would be impeached before they actually let that happen. I think that's a bridge too far for many people. I think it's a bridge too far. Venezuela was a huge F up. I think there'll be charges at some point over Venezuela. I'm talking like Nuremberg level charges over what's happened in Venezuela. I think there'll be theft charges because if you sold the oil and the money that you got isn't sitting in the United States, it's sitting in some foreign country. That's theft that only you have control over, that you said, well, okay, that's theft. That's going to be a problem. But going after Greenland, the rhetoric is what's hurting us. I don't think it's actually going to wind up happening. Again, that's a bridge too far. And that would be that. I think that would crush everybody in the current regime, right? So that would be a massive problem. Because without him in office, everybody's susceptible to government action. You're no longer protected. No, you're spreading a lie. That's not what happened. Oh, wait, you mean he bought the stock? Like I said, to answer your question 305, it's the rhetoric about Greenland that's hurting us. It's the actions taken in Venezuela that's also hurting. Everything compounds, right? Everything compounds. And so with everything compounding, you introduce a massive problem, massive economic problem that we can't easily fix. But continued rhetoric about Greenland with the EU going on record, Macron going on record saying, hey, look, listen, this is what I'm asking for because. That's going to be a problem. A massive problem. So economically, something like that takes the wind out of the sails of things that are starting to look positive, right? Things that are starting to look positive. Stitch. Somebody came home and he just took off. So you start to realize that we've got to be looking at things a little bit harder. It's not just the investments that we want to make, the investments that we are making. It's going to be how fast can we make our money liquid, make our value liquid. Sitting on dry powder. There are two things that I'm sitting on. One is dry powder. The other one is the emergency fund. They're two separate items, completely separate. Completely separate. Emergency fund never gets touched. Only in emergencies. Dry powder gets touched when I see an opportunity that works for me. But I've got to give serious thought to anything that is affected by logistics, right? Anything that's affected by the automobile industry, anything, and by logistics, I mean anything that's affected by driverless anything. We're still in a good space, but we're moving. Well, we're not really in a good space right now. I take that back. Yeah, we're not in a good space. I'm sorry. But we have to rethink, or I am rethinking what I'm investing in. I am rethinking what I'm investing in globally. So if I've got money sitting in the United States, if I've got money sitting overseas, I'm rethinking my investment strategy on a global level. I consider dry powder, PAX G. You only talk about PAX G, and I think that's silly to only have one thing that's dry powder. I think you should have your dry powder as diverse as everything else, just in a space where your dry powder is liquid enough, excuse me, for you to act with, right? It doesn't mean that it needs to be liquid like your emergency fund, but you need to have a path out so that when you come across an opportunity, it doesn't take you weeks to maneuver, right? That's the idea. For your emergency fund, you just want tops hours to maneuver. For your dry powder, tops you want days to maneuver, in my humble opinion. Just saying. Speaking of dry powder, the class for buying and selling businesses, it's been developed. So we have the class, we have the syllabus, we have the class. We're finalizing the handout materials. And like I said, it's going to be a two-pronged thing. The first side is going to be businesses that are looking to sell. The other side is going to be people that want to buy. And you do them together because you have to both understand what each other's mindset is, right? Before you can go do that. And really, it's going to be everything that a business broker is probably not doing. Most business brokers are not going to do the stuff that we're doing. They're not. Right? A good real estate person is going to walk you through a building and, show you around. An excellent real estate broker is going to tell you all the goods and bads. Yeah, that boiler's 30 years old. That ought to tell you something. The roof hasn't been done in 15 years. That ought to tell you something. I mean, when I have my engineers come into a building, the first thing on my mind is solar or wind. You heard me. Solar or wind. Or wind. Right? So you need to, for me, it's one of those, if I buy a building, can I install solar as a secondary business and offset some of the costs that I'm getting from the building? Not direct, it's a secondary business. So my solar company, because I would set up a company that would own the solar on all of my properties, and each one of those companies would pay each one of my properties via a managing agent rent for doing that on each one of the roofs. You see where I'm going? Yeah. So that you're making money. So buy a building, right? Whatever kind of tenants you have, buy a building, make money off of that. Don't buy a building unless it's already in the red. Already in the black. Don't buy a building if it is in the red. Why? Or for me, this is what I'm going over with my son. Actually, all my kids, but especially my son, since we're looking at things. Don't ever buy something that's in the red. I think there's only one situation where you could buy something in the red, and that's where the day that you take it over, day 2, when you swap out all of your stuff for all the crap that they have going on, you're automatically in the black. That would be the only way I would do it. But if a building is in the black, okay, now I can consider things like the day I buy it with everything that I have to pay, the mortgage, the insurance, whatever, I'm in the black. Great. Now my extra business is going to be solar. And let me tell you something, that's going to be one of my criteria. If I can't buy a building and if I can't do solar, I'm probably not going to buy the building. I'm probably not going to buy the building. If it costs me money to shore up the roof, to put solar on the building, I'm probably not going to buy the building. I only want buildings where I can immediately put solar on, or at least, some kind of wind turbine, whether it be hot or what, one of the two. So when I give this class on buying or selling a business, do you see how we just broke that down? We'll be breaking that down, but telling you from a business seller's perspective, what's your sellability? From this side, what is the buyability? The opposite, right? If you're a business owner, one of the things that often gets in the way of a business owner to sell their business, number one, they don't know how to create the package. But even before that, they're too close to it. It's my baby. I'm going to tell you right now, nobody gives a shit. It's your baby. So we've got to break you out of that so you can actually understand how the machinations work. So it's a 3-hour class. It's a 3-hour master class on buying and selling businesses. And we've got like 90% of the materials done. Yeah. And somebody asked me, well, why would you do that class? Right now, you're in the midst of a huge wealth transfer from one generation to the next. And the problem is you have a lot of people that are selling businesses and you have a lot fewer people that are buying businesses. And both sides don't know how. They don't know how. And just about everything that you do, once you get into investing, you're buying and selling businesses. You're like you might not be buying and selling a business, but you're buying and selling shares in a business. Right? If you're in crypto, you're looking at it differently, right? You're investing in these coins or these projects or whatever else. You still want to evaluate that business. Are you moving in the right direction? Who are your competitors? What are your advantages? What are your disadvantages? All those other things. There's a lot that goes on. Hutanic, with all the stuff that you're writing, I would tell you, think internationally. I noticed that a lot of people that are that are doing investing on the retail level, they're very much involved in investing nationally in this country. This is one of the reasons why you might want to talk to, a manager of assets, because they might be able to get you into international things. Now you know why I was keying in on the idea of the EU dropping an economic bazooka, right? Because it would affect those businesses. When you buy shares in AWS, when you buy shares or in Amazon, when you buy shares in Microsoft, those are international companies. There's your international exposure. How much money would they lose should that bazooka be used? Oof. That's an oof kind of moment. So yeah, there's a lot to review. A lot. So yeah, the class is almost done. I mean, the class is almost all configured and everything. It will be held on February 21st. It'll be a 3-hour class. We'll probably do, early in the morning. I'm thinking like 11 a.m. so that people in California would be able to get in on the class and people on the East Coast would be able to get on the class, and we'd be able to end the class, at a decent time during the day. So if it's 11 to 2, 3-hour class, there will be a break or two in there, like a 10-minute, bathroom break. But you should be able to hold it for 3 hours. I'm expecting the conversations to be lively. There are a lot of people out there that didn't realize that they were in a position that they could buy a business, that are realizing, wow, I'm actually in a position to buy a business. I could think about that, because that could be my retirement. If I buy a business that I like, buy a business that I have skill set in. Just saying. Buy a turnkey operation. So there's a way to go about doing all that. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes, tell your friends about this community, because it's the only one that actually cares about how we're all thinking. We don't have to all be on the same page about things, but we must all be thinking. We're all about doing the GMB3, right? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Ham's house. So yeah, you actually want to do those things because they're only going to help you. That's not telling you what to buy, how to buy. That's us learning together. That's us knowing that we need to do the research. So many people want to jump in and take the, FOMO kind of approach to things, and that's not the way to go. It's not. Be careful with that. A friend of mine was telling me about how, and then I'll let you guys go, there is a service out there that you attach this service to your brokerage account and you pick out who in government that you want to copy trade, and it will copy trade. Have you lost your mind? There's no way in the world I'm going to let some autonomous agent or autonomous service go out there and buy and sell on my behalf. What? Send me an alert, sure, and then maybe I'll act on it. But buy and sell? Like that's their sales pitch. Oh, this is a turnkey operation. You just give us access to your account and boop, 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 boop. What? What's the insurance? What's the insurance? I do not need a service that does that. I can't believe people would even pay for that. I can understand that you might make money from that. I get it. But that you can find out and copy trade manually on your own. You can even automate that on your own. But that would be you doing that, not some third-party service that has access to your accounts that's going to buy and sell on your behalf. Because if it screws up and buys and or sells on your behalf, guess what? Guess what? Your brokerage firm is not responsible for that. You are. That's why I said, what kind of insurance do they have? What if they screw up, what do I get besides in trouble? Oops. Yeah, it's insane. So many people want things handed to them, immediate gratification, just like Lieutenant said, but not wanting to put in the work to educate themselves. We must invest in order to survive. Your first investment is in yourself. How is that investing in yourself? It's amazeballs. Amazeballs. Anyway, everybody, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. Me and my team will work for that every single day. See you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. for the daily, where we'll go over more news. Hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.